I remember a saying that I once heard my grandmother say, "Time heals all wounds." And I have to admit, that particular sentiment never sat well with me. Ideally, I suppose that it made perfect sense in the grand scheme of things. But even though the wounds heal, the bearer of those wounds never forgets how they got there. After my sister died, correction, after my sister was murdered, I kept hearing my grandmother's voice in my head assuring me that time was going to heal my wounds. I tried to listen to her, but eventually the darkness that was continually growing in my heart drowned her voice out, for good. It was at that point that I decided to do what I needed to do to help my own wounds mend.
I'll take my crown now. These voices in my head, I'm telling you to bow down. You don't got control, no, so bow down. I don't give you control, no, so bow down. Yeah. I'll take my crown now. These voices in my head, I'm telling you to bow down. You don't got control, so bow down. I don't give you control, no, so bow down. Yeah. Bow down. You gotta tell it to bow down. If you don't match up with the word, then you gotta tell it to bow down. And you got a crown now, you gotta tell it to bow down. Yeah. Voices in my head telling me that I won't make it, but I like a challenge. So I just keep going, trusting the Lord. The more that I know, the more that I grow, the more that I show the devil that he's on the bottom of my soul. Yeah, he's on the bottom of my souls. This is what I know. Life comes and life goes, and I'm not about to sit around and let time pass me by though. The time is now, and I ain't going nowhere. When fear comes around, I tell it bow down, down, down.
How you looking on that story, Jackson?
I don't know if I could keep doing this. It's really starting to weigh on me.
Well, Jackson, you know I don't do sentimentality, but if I did, I would ask, what's the problem?
Marion Hayes was already a difficult case for me to handle after what happened. Not to mention the fallout from the victim's family on Timberland Crawford's case.
Yeah, and?
Don Langston is obviously a nutcase.
And how do you know that?
Look at these pictures. Do you see what she did to that man? No sane person could do that. How do you expect me to go in there and make sense of all of this? At least with the other two, I was able to connect with them because they showed regret and remorse for what they done. I don't know what to do with this.
Look, Jackson, I know this is difficult for you, but do you remember why we started this series in the first place?
Yes, I do, Yolanda, but...
But nothing, Jackson. We're not doing these stories to justify the crimes that these women commit. We're doing these stories to give the public insight as to what drives these women to commit the crimes that they commit. That's it. You know why I picked you?
Please, enlighten me.
Because you have a heart, and you wear it on your sleeve. That's what makes you such a good writer. It's your words that's given life to these women's stories because you have been able to identify with them and feel what they felt. You didn't judge, you just told the stories. And that's the whole point of this project. Now, if you want me to take you off this project, I will. I don't want to, but I will. But just remember this. You said yourself that you never know a man's story unless you walk a mile in his shoes. Now, all I'm asking you to do is give this woman the same chance you gave the other two. Now, I know that you think her case seems pretty extreme, but if you judge her before you hear her story, aren't you just doing the same thing that you condemned the public for doing before you started this project? Don't disappoint me, Jackson.
Hey, Miss Jackson. Back again so soon?
Hi, Bert.
I see pretty soon I'm gonna have to have them put an office back there for you, huh? Look, I'm gonna tell you this. You got a real piece of work waiting for you this time. And look, don't be alarmed when you go in there. We kinda had to take some special precautions with this one. She can be kinda prone to some extremely violent episodes from time to time, so her restraints are just a little bit different than what you're used to seeing. Okay? Come on.
Hello, Miss Langston. My name is Vanessa Jackson. And as you know, I will be conducting the interview you requested from the Women's Lit magazine.
I know who you are, Miss Jackson. Thank you for agreeing to meet with me. I'm sorry if my appearance startled you.
Thank you. I have to admit, I wasn't expecting this.
Well, they seem to think that I'm prone to violent episodes. So this was the only way they would agree for us to meet.
Are you prone to violent episodes?
I am prone to violence. Violence is required. I believe that violence begets violence. Miss Jackson, are you familiar with the principle an eye for an eye?
Yes.
Do you believe in that principle?
I guess I believe in it in theory. But I also believe that no one has the right to take the law into their own hands.
Oh, Miss Jackson, my hope is that when we're done here, you'll be able to see things from my point of view. I don't expect you to condone what I did. I believe that justice is in the eye of the beholder. Our justice system is set up to protect the rich and condemn the poor. People with money rule the world. It's just unfortunate for the man that killed my sister that the United States justice system was overturned. By me. Contrary to popular belief, Miss Jackson, I'm not crazy or insane. I planned that man's death down to the last second, executing my plan flawlessly, and then turned myself in. And if I had to, I would do it all over again. Except this time, I wouldn't turn myself in. But I am a woman of conviction, and I accept the consequences of my actions. I make no mistake about it, Miss Jackson. I have no regrets about what I did.
Let's get started. Tell me about your family and what it was like for you and your sister growing up.
I grew up in a loving household. Both of my parents had good jobs, which made for a comfortable lifestyle for us. We never wanted for anything.
Let's get this out the way so we can get to that.
But above all, grew up with a lot of love in our house.
Mommy, can you make my favorite tomorrow, please? Of course I can. I think we've had enough of yours.
What was your sister like?
Carmen was the most beautiful, generous, kind person I ever knew. Can't think of a time where she wasn't thinking of someone else. She was 2 years younger than me. We were inseparable. I was very protective of her. She was in a fight. I was in a fight. Nobody touched my sister.
Did you have to fight for her a lot?
No. Because the few times that I had to, it was so bad for the other person that word got around pretty quickly that Carmen wasn't the one to be messed with. See, I've always liked to fight.
Can you elaborate on that?
I don't know how to explain it, really. I've just always been obsessed with watching martial arts on TV. And when I was old enough, I took part in whatever form my dad would put me in. I was good. And I loved it. I quickly realized I had an intense bloodlust. And it was through that realization that I knew I had to be disciplined enough to control all aspects of my temper. Carmen thought I was a nutcase. She just couldn't understand why I would want to waste all of my free time fighting when I could be shopping. I didn't understand it either. But as different as we were, she was still my best friend. We did almost everything together when I wasn't training. She was in her first year of college, and I was in my third. While I was just going through the motions with no real career plans, she had her mind set on being a pediatrician. Carmen was nothing if not responsible. So when my mother found her bed empty and untouched the morning after she had gone out to a birthday party with her friends, it was an immediate cause for alarm.
She didn't come home last night.
What do you mean she didn't come home last
She
night?
didn't come home last night. Did she call you?
No, Mommy.
Did she call you?
Mommy,
No,
have a seat,
no.
okay?
Why would she call?
I heard myself saying the words,
Mommy.
but even as they were coming out of my mouth, I didn't believe them myself.
I need to know where she is.
I knew my sister like the back of my hand, and she would never stay out all night without calling her parents to let them know.
Call Jasmine.
I had a nagging feeling in the pit of my stomach that something wasn't right. I didn't want my mother to worry, so I continued to falsely reassure her that everything was fine. Slowly but surely, the seconds turned to minutes, and the minutes turned into hours, and still no word from Carmen.
Yeah, hello, Jasmine. Jasmine. Have you seen Carmen?
I called all of Carmen's friends, but none of them had heard from her since the night of the
slow down.
party.
What do you mean you have her stuff, but you don't know where she is? What are you talking about? Was it anybody think to walk her to her car?
Jasmine said that she wasn't really feeling the vibe of the club, so she decided to leave the party early to go home and get some rest. They said their goodbyes, and that was it.
I'm going to go call the police.
Took 3 weeks before my sister's mutilated body was found, handcuffed to a bug-infested bed on an abandoned building in Detroit. A production crew scouting for movie locations came across the building and a foul odor coming from the basement. The police were called. When we got the call, we agreed that it was best that my mom stay behind, since she had to be sedated at regular intervals. So my dad and I went. Have you ever had to identify a body, Miss Jackson?
No.
Nothing can prepare you for that moment. Multiply that by 1,000 for someone that you love. Even with that being said, nothing could prepare us for what had been done to my sister. As the sheet was pulled back to reveal what was once the most important person in my life, my dad passed out. All I could do was stare.
Miss Langston, we can make this brief. We don't have to prolong this. Miss Langston, I'm sorry, but we are sure that this is your sister.
No.
We just need someone to positively ID the body so the first
Can you find her? No!
Here, Miss Langston. Try to drink some of this. My name is Detective Christopher Jones. Are you okay? Your father was able to positively ID the body for us.
So what now?
Now we find the person that did this. I know this is a very difficult time for you and your family, but I need to ask you some questions. Is that okay? When was the last time you saw Carmen?
Friday morning, we had breakfast. And then I left for school.
And where do you go to school?
Wayne State University, downtown campus.
Did you go straight home after school?
No, because after school, I went to work.
And where do you work?
Speak easy. Let me ask you a question, Detective Jones. Do you have any leads on my sister's case? My sister has been missing for 3 weeks. 3 weeks! What are you people doing besides scratching your heads to actually find leads on my sister's case?
Oh, please. Miss Langston, we're doing the best we can right now. Believe me when I say this, we're gonna find the person that did this and they're gonna pay. Justice will be served. We'll be in touch. Again, sorry for your loss.
You okay, baby girl?
I'm hanging in there, Daddy. How are you?
Wish I could tell you that I was okay. I can't say that. I know that God has a purpose for everything that happens in life. No parent is prepared for this. I have to believe that whoever did this to her is gonna pay. I have to believe that. But even so, it won't bring baby girl back.
As I sat there helplessly watching my daddy cry, my sorrow slowly turned into anger.
It's okay.
It took 2 weeks while primary suspect was arrested. Ross Styler was the name of the man that killed my sister. He was the brother of a high-profile drug dealer, Nico Styler. Thought he was untouchable. He was the kind of guy that women fell for with his handsome good looks and nice clothes, fancy jewelry. Stood out to me the most, aside from the fact that he was white, was that he had the coldest eyes I had ever seen. Pure evil. Even when he was arrested, he showed no sign of nervousness or remorse. But I had to give Detective Jones and the task force a lot of credit. They were able to bring a lot of evidence forward that led to his capture and arrest.
How long did it take for the case to go to trial?
8 long months. Nico Styler, Ross Styler's brother, hired the best attorney he could find. And that woman wasted no time painting my sister out to be a drunken slut who threw herself at Ross Styler in a frenzied state of passion. And then got herself kidnapped by another man at the club that night.
Sending an innocent man away would be inhumane. Please take this into consideration.
Do you want to know what that narcissistic demon did after his lawyer was done pissing on my sister's character, Miss Jackson?
What did he do?
He must have felt the heat of my glare on his neck. Because in the middle of open court, he turned around, looked me dead in my eye, smiled at me.
Daddy, did you just see that?
What?
He just smiled at me.
Miss Langston, another outburst like that and I will have you removed from this courtroom.
Dawn, please.
Case dragged on for 3 long weeks. Prosecution supplied mountains of compelling evidence that indicated without the shadow of a doubt Ross Styler was the man that killed my sister. He was witnessed by a man talking to her in the parking lot that night. His skin was found under her fingernails, and his fingerprints were found on the bat that was used to bash her skull in. Not only that, it was brought up that he had 2 prior rape charges. Both of the victims dropped the charges. So the only thing left to plant a seed of doubt in the jurors' minds was 4 witnesses who boldly testified that Ross Styler was with them that night.
The evidence, the cold hard evidence.
On the day of closing arguments, prosecution left it all on the floor.
As far as to bite her torso.
She painted a picture of how Ross Styler followed my sister. Somehow got her in the car and then drove her to the abandoned building where her body was found. She showed the jury pictures of Carmen's mutilated corpse and then recounted in vivid detail every single horror she had to endure up until the final moment that he bashed her head in with a bat. To me, this was an open and closed case. I was confident that the jury would make the right decision and justice would be served.
Will the defendant rise? In the matter of the state of Michigan versus Ross Styler, we, the jury, find the defendant, Ross Styler, not guilty. Liar in the first degree in the case of Carmen Langston. Order in this court. Order in this court.
Did you see the pictures of what he did to my sister, Miss Jackson?
Yes.
So I guess you can understand our horror. And the verdict came back not guilty. Needless to say, we were devastated. Not guilty. After everything had been laid out and proven, he was gonna walk out of that courtroom a free man. Why? Because he was white. He had money.
transcript showed that you threatened to kill him.
I did. And I meant it. They had to carry me out of that courtroom kicking and screaming. That wasn't until I noticed that it was Detective Jones that was restraining me. And I looked around and I saw my mom sobbing and my dad trying to console her.
Look at me. Look at me. What you did to your hands? Come on, baby. Come on, baby. Come on.
Him going to prison was the last thread that she had to hold on to. And it had been taken away from all of us that day. And it was that exact moment that I knew that I was going to kill Ross Styler. From that day, it seemed like my family never could quite put the pieces back together. Carmen's absence left a huge hole in our family unit, and we couldn't figure out how to patch it up. My mother and father seemed to age a lot. My mother took to pill popping to get through the days without breaking down, and my father lost all of his cheerfulness. They both seemed to just go through the motions of imitating life as they knew it. Me, I started to focus on my new agenda. I knew that in order to do what I was going to do, I had to have my own place. So I moved out.
Here you go. You're welcome. Come see me again, okay?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. But I had to quit school so I could work more to fund my operation.
And devote more time to training.
I trained relentlessly. I pushed myself to the limit. And just when I thought I didn't have anything else to give, I thought about the way he looked at me.
That's what we doing?
And then I trained harder.
I told my parents I quit school and they weren't happy about that, or me moving out. But they knew they wouldn't be able to make me change my mind. So I worked, trained, and planned. And before I knew it, a full year had passed.
In my search for a hideout, I finally found an abandoned building that would suit my purposes. And it wasn't too far from where I was living. But it wasn't too close either.
Once I found my location, started setting up everything that I would need to execute. Once the hideout had been secured, it was time to shift focus to Styler. I never bothered to decorate my house because after what I was planning to do, I was sure that I wouldn't be coming back. That realization was enough to make me sit down and evaluate the magnitude of what I was planning. I was going to kill a man in cold blood. What would I do after that? I knew I would have to disappear. But what would that do to my parents? It would almost be like they were losing another child. Oddly enough, none of the realistic answers to any of those questions was enough to make me stop. Now it was time to focus on Styler. I started stalking him so I could clock his every move and learn his habits. Every morning before work, I was up at 5 a.m. sharp so that I could trail him until it was time to go to work at 9. After work, I would pick right back up where I left off until it was time to train. Before long, it got to the point where I could get so close to him that he couldn't fart without me smelling it. He was so careless and cocky in his actions that he never even noticed I was there. I even went as far as to leave a picture of Carmen on the windshield of his car one night just to see what his reaction would be. It was gratifying to see that he was visibly shaken when he saw it. He looked around angrily, trying to see if he could catch a glimpse of who would have had the nerve to do that to him. Then, to my surprise, he did something totally unexpected.
Do you think you scare me? Do you think I don't know that you've been following me? Watching me? I know you've been following me, Detective Jones. You don't scare me. And if you keep harassing me, I'm gonna haul you right back to court. You hear me? That's okay. I know you're out there. You pigs won't ever get nothing on me.
While I was relieved that he didn't know it was me, now I had to figure out how Detective Jones fit into the picture.
Hello?
Hi.
This is an unexpected visit. Oh, what's this?
Oh, yeah, my family and I just wanted to give you this token of appreciation. We know how hard you worked on my sister's case, so.
Thank you so much. It's really appreciated, but I was just doing my job. I'm sorry things didn't go the way we wanted them to.
Yeah. Thanks.
Would you like to step in my office for a moment?
Sure.
You can have a seat.
Thanks.
It's perfect. Let me clear this up real quick. All right. So tell me, how have you been?
I've had my good days in the midst of my bad ones.
How are your parents doing?
They're doing the best that they can. We don't talk about it much, so I guess that's their way of dealing with things. That leaves me with so many unanswered questions.
Like what?
Like, how does a man with so much compelling evidence against him get off on a case like that?
Miss Langston.
Please, call me Dawn.
Dawn. Sometimes the justice system doesn't work the way we think it should. When you put things in the hands of other people, you leave room for flaws, because people are flawed. But as a law enforcement official, I have to look at the bigger picture. I have to trust that everything will work out for the greater good, so I can continue to do my job. I can't explain what happened in the courtroom, because I don't understand. I don't understand how people can lie for someone like Ross Styler. But unfortunately, money talks. I know this isn't making you feel any better, but I don't know what else I can say.
I understand. Anywho, we wanted to give you that token of appreciation, so.
I really appreciate it.
So, do you know if Ross Styler is still in Michigan? You know, I would hate to think that he's still here, you know, ready to prey on the next girl.
Yeah. Yeah, he's still here. But rest assured, we're keeping a close eye on him. I've taken special interest in making sure that he's on his best behavior.
It's nice to know that someone cares about my sister's case. Thank you, Detective Jones.
Please, you can call me Chris. And if you have any other questions, or you just need to talk, don't hesitate to reach out, please. I'm not just saying that, I mean it.
Okay. I'll remember that. Anyhow, I think I've wasted enough of your time. So, thank you again, Detective Jones. Chris. I hope you enjoy the cookies.
I definitely will. And you take care of yourself.
Thanks. Bye. Three years, 2 weeks, and 5 days after the death of my sister, I woke up on the day that was to be the first day of the rest of my life. As I lay there, all the events of the past 3 years replayed themselves in my head for the millionth time. I was preparing to take the life of another human being.
Not only was I going to take his life, but I was going to torture him every step of the way. I wanted him to experience all the pain and suffering he had inflicted upon my sister. And I wanted to hear him beg for mercy. I wiped my tears away and hardened my heart. There wouldn't be any more room for emotion in my life from this point on. I had trained myself to think and act like a machine. And now the moment I've been planning for was finally here. And for me, there was no turning back.
I have to admit, the thought of no turning back weighed heavily on me. My parents raised us in a God-fearing home. Part of me wanted to turn away from what I was planning to do. The guilt was so intense that it drove me to my knees for the first time in 3 years. So I knelt down to pray. Not that he would give me the strength to turn the other cheek. Rather, he would find it in his heart to forgive me when this was all over. I had tried doing things right the first time around, and it didn't work out. So I was gonna do things my way first, and then ask for forgiveness later. I just hoped that he'd understand.
Time's up.
Well, Miss Langston, it looks like we'll have to pick this back up next week.
Okay. Looking forward to it.
Got to get a grip. I'm not gonna do it. I'm not gonna quit. I'm gonna finish this assignment. And that's it.
Well, I took too many sips. I mean, what exactly is too many?
How are you doing today, Miss Langston?
I'm okay. All things considered. Thank you for asking.
I'd like to jump right in so we can cover as much ground as possible today. May I?
Sure.
If my memory serves me correctly, when we left off, you were getting ready to tell me about the day you put your plan into action.
Yeah. I had taken the week off work. So that Monday, I left the house. And I went to Ross Styler's house as usual. Except this time, I wouldn't be cutting out early at 8:30 to go to work. So like clockwork, at 7 a.m., he came out, met with his brother for their daily breakfast meeting. And then from there, he went to the club. And it was at that point that I would be making my appearance.
Hey, baby. Know what you're doing under there?
Actually, I don't. My car stalled out and I have to get to work. Can you take a look at it for me?
Sure, baby.
Thanks.
I got you. But, What's gonna be in it for me?
How about I surprise you?
I like that.
Mm-hmm.
All right, let's see. I mean, all your fluids look okay, so probably just need a jump.
Mm-hmm.
You got any jumper cables?
Yeah, I do. They're in the trunk.
All right. Yeah, I don't...
Oh, good. You're awake. Now we can start our game. Oh, what's wrong? You don't recognize me?
No. But whoever you are, you're already dead.
I am so disappointed that you don't recognize me. Then again, last time we saw each other, I did look a little different, huh? What about now?
You're that girl from the courtroom.
Yeah. Now, can you guess why you're here?
Look, I don't know what this
You know what? You don't even have to guess. Because I'm going to tell you. But you better listen to me closely because I'm only gonna say this once. Do you remember a girl named Carmen Langston? Sure you do. That was my little sister. But I digress. I'm supposed to be telling you why you're here. You, Ross Styler, are here because you had the misfortune of killing the wrong girl. And if the justice system had done what it was supposed to do, you would be in prison. But they didn't. So now we're here.
Look, you're...
If you interrupt me one more time, I will stab this through your eye. Do you hear me?
Make no mistake about it, Mr. Styler, this is not a game. So pissing me off will only make me more creative in the ways that I decide to torture you. Now, as I was saying, you killed my sister. So now you're gonna endure everything that she had to up until the last moment that you bashed her head in with a baseball bat. I have 5 long days of hell planned for you. I'm up against today. Take a look around.
Okay, look. Please, I'll give you whatever you want. You obviously already know I have money. Whatever is out, I'll make it right, please!
You know what, I'm sorry. I don't mean to laugh, but you gotta admit, it's kind of funny. Do you really think that you can buy your way out of punishment? Do you know how long I have waited for this day to come? And if I wasn't so determined to make you suffer, I would end your life right now. But why would I deny myself the pleasure of watching you beg? See, just then, you asked, but I promise you that when I'm done with you, you will beg. Now, I have to say goodbye. But I suggest you try and get some rest, because it will be the last peaceful night you will ever have.
Hello?
Hi, baby. Are you sleeping?
Yeah, Mommy, I'm on vacation.
You know what time it is. It's time to get up.
I need you to come over here and help me to clean out your sister's bedroom.
Wait, Mom, are you sure? Why today?
Why not today? I've spent many a day staring at that closed bedroom door, just dreading the day I have to go in there and acknowledge that my baby's not here with us.
But I figured it's time to move on and let her go.
Mom, are you there?
Yes, baby, I'm sorry. I'm still here. I miss her so much. But I need to get this over with.
Me putting this off is not gonna make this any better.
Okay, Mom. I'll be there. I love you.
I love you too, baby.
For hours, my mother and I worked side by side, sorting through Carmen's things. We laughed and cried as we shared memories over various articles that we packed away.
They never had my color, though.
With every tear my mother shed, the more I hated Ross Styler.
So happy you gave up on that silliness.
I couldn't wait to get back to my hideaway so I could start inflicting all the pain I felt on him.
Hi, Miss Langston. This is Detective Jones. Please give me a call back when you get this message.
I didn't know what to make of his message, but I couldn't think about it right then. I would have to deal with that later.
Wake up.
How did you sleep last night? Oh, I'm sorry. I can't hear you!
I swear you're gonna die for this.
Oh, rest assured it won't be before you do. Brought you a gift. I know, it's just a regular old branch from a regular old tree, right? Wrong. This is a special branch. But before we get into what's gonna happen, I wanna ask you some questions.
I'm not telling you anything.
How many women have you raped, Styler? How many women have you taken advantage of and killed because you thought you could get away with it? How many women have you raped, Styler? Don't make me ask you again.
I don't know. I don't remember.
You don't know. How many people have you killed?
10.
How many of them were women?
3.
What about my sister?
What about my sister?
Your sister, I didn't know your sister. I just saw her that night at the club.
And you just decided to rape her?
Yeah.
Yes. You decided to rape her before you did anything else, didn't you?
Didn't you?
Yes! Yes!
Yes. Yes, you did.
No. What are you doing? What are you doing?
Do you know what it feels like to be violated, Styler? Do you know what it feels like to have your insides torn apart by a perverted maniac? That's what you did to Carmen. And even if she would have lived, she wouldn't have been able to have children. And you did that to her.
Please, I'm sorry! I'm sorry! Please.
You're not sorry yet. But you will be.
No! No, please! Please! Dad!
Sleep didn't come easy that night. I had a little breakdown after what I did. And then I started thinking about everything I still had left to do to him before it was finally time to put him out of his misery. I hated him, yes. But now that I had him at my mercy, I wondered if I would have the courage to go through with actually taking his life. I was so conflicted that I decided not to think about it anymore until it was time to cross that bridge. So I turned my thoughts to my other problem, Detective Jones.
Detective Jones.
Hi. This is Dawn Langston returning your phone call.
Hi. Thanks for calling me back. How are you this morning?
I'm good. What can I do for you?
Well, I know this is going to seem a little unprofessional, but I was actually calling to invite you to dinner. I know this sounds really weird, but...
Yes. Yeah. I would love to go to dinner with you, Detective Jones.
Really? Great. And please call me Chris. Would it be okay if I picked you up around 8?
Let's make it an early dinner. Pick me up at 6?
6 it is. Just text me your address and I'll see you soon.
I'll do that. See ya.
So, tell me about yourself.
Well, I grew up on the east side of Detroit. I'm the middle of 3 kids, and I wanted to be a cop like my dad ever since I was 6.
Wow, interesting. It's pretty cool that you knew what you wanted to be early on. Can I ask you a question, Detective Jones?
Only if you call me Chris. Sure.
Do you date a lot of black women?
That depends on what you consider a lot.
Come on. You know what I mean. Like, do you date black women sometimes, almost never, or exclusively?
Miss Langston,
Dawn?
Dawn. I date women that I find myself attracted to. It just so happens that a majority of the time they end up being black women. But I've dated women of all different types of races, including my own. Why do you ask?
Just curious, I guess. I've never dated a white guy, so just wanted to know if this might be a first for both of us.
I'm honored. So what about you? What do you like to do other than fight?
Oh, you noticed that, huh?
I'm a detective. It's kind of part of the job.
Yeah. Well, I've been training since I was 10 and competing since I was 13.
Really?
Yeah.
Are you any good?
I mean, I've only ever lost 2 competitions, and then came back, beat both of them later on, so. You be the judge.
That's impressive.
Thanks.
All right, so what do you like to do for fun besides beat people up?
Honestly, between work and training, I don't do much. I'm kind of a loner. Only person I really cared to be around was my sister. So, yeah.
Well, maybe we can do something about that.
Maybe. So, I had a really nice time tonight, Chris.
Me too. Would be okay if I called you again sometime?
I would have to think about that one. Yes, I would love for you to call me again. Have a good night.
You too.
I knew I was treading on dangerous grounds, but I was very attracted to him.
Where was your mind at after that? I can't imagine that you could just switch from romantic to vigilante in a blink of an eye.
After having such a great time with Detective Jones, it was hard to get back into the frame of mind to go visit Styler again. But I knew with it being Wednesday, I couldn't afford to waste any time. I was certain that his brother had taken notice of his absence. Hi. Oh, you don't look so happy to see me. Oh, like someone had a little accident. How are you feeling today? Satisfied? Oh, this water is
Very refreshing. Would you like some? Never mind. So, now that I wet my whistle, we can get started. Today we're gonna have a discussion. Styler, do you hear me talking to you? I would really hate to think that you're ignoring me. I'm so happy that you turned back on your own. You would not have wanted me to call your name again. So today, we're gonna have a discussion. And I'm sure that you know by now that any lack of participation on your part will result in bad things happening to you, right? Good. So together, you and I are gonna make a list of all the victims that you killed. Then, once that list is complete, we're gonna write letters to their families. You're gonna do this before you die, so those families can have closure. Is that clear? Great. Sorry. Time is getting away from us. Get started. Victim number 1.
David Atkins. Tracy
From there, he began to run down the list of names of people he'd killed. 7 men
Crystal
and 3
Jones.
women. I wanted to know about the women.
John.
The first woman, Tracy Martinez, was a girlfriend he thought was cheating on him. The second woman,
Allie Smith.
that got caught in the crossfire of a hit for 2 of the men. And he didn't know her name. And then he stopped. And the last one.
You know who the last one was.
I want to hear you say it.
Her name was Carmen.
Say her whole name.
Carmen Langston.
And why did you kill her?
I didn't have a reason to. I saw her one night at the club, and I wanted her. I tried to talk to her, and she brushed me off. But I still wanted her. Then, I started to wonder what it would be like to kill her, just because I could. So I did. Yeah, I killed all those people without a second thought. But do you really think what you're doing to me is gonna bring your sister back? 'Cause it's not. You really think that you can do all this and just go on with your life? You don't have the makeup for what it takes to be a killer. That's the difference between us. Me? I'm a predator. People like you and your sister, you're prey.
Well, Ross Styler, your day of redemption has come. First, the letters. Let's get started, shall we?
So, what happened after that?
We did 9 letters in order of occurrence. I told him that I wanted him to admit to all of the victims' families what he had done to their loved one and ask for their forgiveness. I wrote everything down verbatim. But when it got to Carmen, there would be no letter. Now, I want you to tell me about the night that you kidnapped Carmen. Don't worry. The more you talk, the more I listen. The less you have to worry about me hurting you. I want to hear everything. From the moment that you met her at the club, up until the moment that you took her life.
I remember I saw her at the club that night, and she was so beautiful. She had a certain kind of innocence about her that really excited me. I remember just watching her, and I wanted her so bad that I actually approached her myself, and instead of sending one of my guys to send her to me, I started off with some small talk, and I asked her if I could buy her a drink. She said no. Then I asked her if she wanted to dance, and she said no again. It pissed me off, but I didn't want to lose it, so I went back to my section and I sat down. I couldn't keep my eyes off of her. Then after watching her with her friends for a while, I noticed her head to the door around 11 o'clock. So I followed her outside. I tried to talk to her again, but she just kept brushing me off. And that's when I lost it. Before I knew it,
You what?
I punched her in the face, and I knocked her out. I looked around the parking lot to make sure that nobody had seen. I didn't know what to do, so I dragged her to my car and I put her in the back seat. I got in the car and I really started to panic because I didn't mean to hit her. I just wanted to talk to her. So I just started to drive around. Then after about 45 minutes, I came across this abandoned building. One of those ones that crackheads used to shoot up in. I was just gonna drop her off there, but then she started waking up. So I dragged her out of the car and into the building. I dragged her all the way down to the basement in case she started screaming or something. By the time I got her down there, she'd started trying to fight me. So I held her down on the bed so she couldn't hit me anymore. And as I held her there, I couldn't resist.
You couldn't resist. What?
You know what? Don't make me do this. If you're gonna kill me, just do it.
I'm gonna kill you. You don't have to worry about that. But I want you to tell me everything that you did to my sister before you die. I want to hear it out of your mouth.
I raped her, okay? She wouldn't give it to me, so I took it.
Then he proceeded to tell me each and every horrific thing that he did to my sister after he raped her. She fought and bit him when he tried to kiss her, so he pulled out plugs of her hair and bit out chunks of her flesh. She gave him the finger when he tried to reason with her. So he cut 2 of them off for the grand finale. He bashed her head in with a baseball bat.
I can't imagine what must have gone through your mind while you sat there listening to him. What happened after that?
I used a blowtorch to burn out patches of his hair since he didn't have hair long enough to pull. And I used a scalpel to carve out chunks of his flesh. I wasn't putting my mouth on him. And I used vice grips to cut off 2 of his fingers. You saw the pictures, didn't you, Miss Jackson?
Yes.
Do you feel I was wrong for that?
Vanessa. Vanessa. Is everything okay?
Yes, I'm fine. Why do you ask?
Because you have been running back and forth like a crazy person for the last 5 minutes. Now, what's wrong?
Can I ask you a question?
Of course.
Have you ever wondered if you could take the life of another human being?
Why would you ask me a question like that?
It's this new assignment I'm on. I'm interviewing a woman that murdered the man who was the prime suspect in her sister's murder. But he got off on a technicality. So she kidnapped, tortured, and killed him.
My goodness. Vanessa, for the life of me, I do not understand why you keep taking these crazy assignments. I really worry about you spending so much time up at that prison.
Mom, please. Can you just answer the question?
That's not an easy question to answer. But I guess if someone was trying to hurt my family, the thought might cross my mind, but thinking about it and actually doing it are obviously 2 very different things. Now, why are you asking this question?
Because I guess I'm just trying to rationalize my own feelings in the situation. I mean, I've been listening to this woman's story. And on one hand, I can identify with the hurt and anger she felt when her sister was murdered. It's almost like if the courts would have did what it was supposed to do, then she would have never had to do what she did. Does that make sense?
It sounds to me that you're afraid you're starting to agree with what this woman did. And you're trying to justify it by blaming the justice system. Am I correct?
I don't know. I know she's wrong. But Ma, if you just heard her tell her story.
Romans 12 and 19. Dearly beloved, avenge not yourselves, but rather give place unto wrath. For it is written, vengeance is mine, I will repay, says the Lord. Now, did I answer your question?
Yes, Ma. Thank you.
Anytime, babe.
Is all of that still necessary? I don't think I'm in any real danger here. Can you please take those off?
Sorry, Miss Jackson. No can do.
It's okay, Miss Jackson. I'm used to it. Thank you for asking, though.
No problem. Today is our last day together, so let's get started.
Of course.
Can you detail me the events that followed after you did everything you did?
Yeah, I spent the better part of my day researching online the victims' names Styler had given me so I could find their families' addresses. I was only able to find 6. But from what I found online, he hadn't lied about anything. And I no longer had any reservations about taking his life.
What happened after you mailed the letters? I understand there was an incident with his brother.
I mailed 2 of Styler's fingers to his brother. Since he thought his family was above the law, I wanted him to know that they weren't so untouchable after all.
I see. What about Detective Jones? Where was he when all of this was going on?
He was still in the picture. And we were still talking every day. And we even had plans to go on our second date that night.
You know I let you win, right?
Really? It felt good to be in the presence of a man who could make me feel safe. Even though I could take care of myself.
So, I was thinking that since you have such a short list of hobbies, maybe you let me take you fishing.
Fishing? And exactly where do you go fishing in Detroit?
That's for me to know and you to find out. If I told you all my secrets now, how would I get you to go out with me again?
Well, I guess you have a point there.
I got a point, yeah.
I kept telling myself I was keeping him close so I could make sure he wasn't on to what I was doing. But I had to admit that I was starting to fall for him. When Friday finally came, I found myself in an inner turmoil. My mind, body, and soul were in total agreement that Styler had to die. But that small, still voice inside still urged me to walk away. And I just couldn't do it. thought about Chris and wondered if I was going to be able to look him in the eye again. It was of no use thinking about that right then, so I pushed it out of my mind. I had to rekindle the rage I needed to feel toward this man in order to do what I was about to do.
Wake up.
Are you ready to die? What? Do you have something to say?
Please. Please, I'm just sorry. Please don't kill me. I don't want to die. I don't know why you did it. I'm sick. I deserve everything that you did to me. I know that now. Just please don't kill me. Just please forgive me. I'm begging you.
Forgive you. Forgive you? How dare you ask me for forgiveness? Do you have any idea what you've done to my family? Do you have any idea how I've been dealing with the loss of my sister? I haven't had a life since she's been gone. And do you want to know why? Because I have been preparing, training, saving money, and waiting for the day that I can make you pay for what you did. My sister was everything to me. You took the best part of me when she died. See, I'm not good styling. I love violence. And that is a feeling that I have been trying to harness my entire life. But you have unleashed the monster in me. And I hate you for that too. See, most people wouldn't have the stomach to do what I've done to you. What you did to my sister! But it doesn't bother me. Because the Bible says, an eye for an eye, and a tooth for a tooth. And the way I see it, when I'm done with you, we'll be just about even. After I pulled myself together, I went back inside to clean up and erase any evidence I had been there. And that was the end of it. I knew his body would be found eventually. I just hoped that any evidence that I had overlooked would be long gone by then. Didn't really matter, though. I had accomplished what I set out to do. Miss Jackson, I know that what I've just told you is a lot for you to take in and really hard to understand. I want you to know that I'm not proud of what I did. And I hope that's not the impression I've made on you. Please, say something.
Miss Langston, I don't know how to process what you just told me. I must admit, I find it all very unsettling. But I sincerely hope that by the time we are finished, that you would have found whatever it was that you were searching for and asking me to come here.
Me too.
So, what happened in the days that followed?
Tried to go back to some sense of normalcy. But that was really hard because nothing had been normal since Carmen was killed. I had another date with Chris, but I wasn't sure if I was up to it. I didn't want him to be suspicious about anything. So I decided to power through it. I wasn't hesitant about our date because of guilt. I was scared that he might sense something different about me that I wouldn't be able to explain away.
Oh, okay. Wow.
So what do you think?
This is beautiful. Very romantic. I didn't know this place existed.
It's because it's one of my secret spots.
Oh, okay.
I didn't realize it was going to be so cold. Oh, sorry, hold on.
Thank you.
You know what? Put this on for me. I have a surprise for you. Oh, come on. I know you have serious control issues, but just trust me. It'll be worth it. No peeking.
Okay, no peeking. Got it.
All right, I'll be right back. Okay, hold out your hands. Now you can look. Well, what do you think?
Wow. This is beautiful. Where did you get this?
My buddy owns an antique shop, and I saw it in there. I had to get it for you. Just please don't hurt anyone with it.
Chris, I can't accept this. I'm sorry.
Yes, you can. I know how much you love martial arts, and I want you to have it.
Okay.
I love it. Thank you.
Very welcome. Can I ask you a question?
Sure.
How you doing? I mean, really.
What would make you ask me that?
I see it all the time. In my line of work, people deal with tragedy in all sorts of different ways. But you haven't really dealt with it in any typical way I'm used to seeing. So I just want to make sure you're okay.
I just take it day by day. Now, I wish I could say that I was doing okay, but I'm really not. I miss my sister so much that it hurts sometimes. I feel like I have to stay strong for my family. My parents aren't faring as well.
I'd love to meet him sometime. Under normal circumstances, that is.
Maybe one day you will.
Jones. Yeah. Okay. I'll be there as soon as I can.
Is everything okay?
Sorry, I have to go. To get to the station. Something major's just come up. I have to get to a crime scene. Sorry.
Hello?
Hey, Ma. Just wanted to let you know that I made it back in for my date.
Oh, good. Good. I want to hear all the details.
Not right now, Ma. I'm actually really tired. Just wanted to give you a call and let you know that I made it in safe.
Oh, that's fine. Just give me a call when you wake up, baby, okay? I love you.
I love you too.
Hi.
Hey, sorry to call you so late. But would it be okay if I came by?
Yeah, sure. Is everything all right?
I'm not sure. I'll talk to you about it when I get there.
Okay. See you soon. Hi. Come in.
Sorry if I was interrupting or anything. You know that crime scene I was called to? Well, apparently someone sent Nico Styler a little gift that included 2 of his brother's fingers. Do you know who Nico Styler is?
Isn't that the brother of the man that killed my sister?
Right. Ross Styler's been missing since Monday. And this is the first break I've gotten since he disappeared.
How do you know he's been missing since Monday?
I've been following him since he was acquitted. Keeping tabs and gathering evidence for the next time he slips up. But now that this has happened, I can open up a new case and really dig in to see what he's been up to. I'm sure this is some sort of drug-related retaliation or something, but I want to look into this, see what I can come up with.
Why didn't you tell me?
I didn't tell you because I wasn't supposed to be doing it. If my superiors found out that I'd been following an acquitted suspect around for the last 3 years, I'd be in a lot of trouble.
So why are you telling me this now?
Because I feel like I owe you that much. I saw how hard you took the death of your sister, Dawn. And I know you have no faith in the system. So I wanted to show you. I wanted to prove to you that some of us do take our jobs seriously. Dawn, I'm treading in very deep waters right now. Because I like you. I've liked you since the day I met you. Now that I've gotten to know you, the feelings are only getting stronger. I don't want you to hurt anymore. So I'm gonna see this thing through to the end, so hopefully you can finally have some closure.
As the days turned into weeks, weeks turned into months, and I tried to forget about Ross Styler. And it seemed like my problems did everything but disappear. Chris and I were still dating, and things were progressing quite nicely. He even met my parents, and they hit it off.
Was he still working the case and keeping you in the loop at that point?
Yeah, he was still working the case. But he only told me minor things. We didn't talk about it much. No, he was very much a by-the-book kind of guy.
What was the final thing that led to your arrest?
God's providence.
How so?
Nico Styler put out a $50,000 reward for anyone that knew the whereabouts of his brother's killer. And that really kicked things into gear. People were calling from all over with all kinds of tips. And then a group of nosy teenagers broke into the abandoned warehouse that I had used and found his body. And the police were called. And since DPD had led the initial investigation, they were called in to assist. When Chris got the news, he almost beat the Romulus police to the scene. He called me immediately to let me know he was on his way out there. Once he arrived, he assured me that he would call as soon as he could with an update. My heart dropped into my stomach when I hung up the phone. After mulling it over for a few days, I decided that there was no use in stressing myself out about it. Whatever was gonna happen was gonna happen. So I went to work as normal. But I hadn't talked to Chris all day, which wasn't like him. And I called him, but I got his voicemail.
2 days had gone by and I still hadn't heard from Chris. I was really starting to worry. So on my way home from work, I called his job to make sure that he was still alive.
The receptionist assured me that he was fine and said she would be sure to let him know that I had called. After confirming that he wasn't killed in the line of duty, I went from being worried to pissed off. But I didn't have to stay mad for long.
Chris, are you crazy walking up with me like that?
We need to talk.
About what was wrong?
Please, let's go inside. Dawn? Can you sit down for a minute? I need to look you in the eye when we have this conversation. What we found in that building was disturbing. I'll spare you the gory details, but it was bad. My squad combed over the whole crime scene thoroughly. It didn't come up with much. I decided to take one last look around the perimeter on my way out. I noticed a set of partial tire tracks off to the side. They stuck out because all the squad cars were parked in the same vicinity in the front of the building. And when I asked some of the officers if anyone drove around back for any reason, they all said no. I went back out to examine the tracks and I noticed they were in a spot where there were patches of grass and dirt. I don't know how old they were, but for some reason the dirt held the imprint of the tracks. Anyway, called one of my forensic guys to come down and take some photos. Sneak a mold of it to take back to the lab to be analyzed. I had an idea what kind of car the tracks belonged to just by looking at them. But I wanted to be sure before I said anything. We got the results back this morning. The tread from the tracks belonged to 31-inch wheels on a mid-sized vehicle.
Why are you telling me this, Chris? And what is this?
Dawn, don't play games with me. I'm a detective. This is what I do. You drive a mid-sized vehicle with 31-inch wheels on it. You live in Inkster, which is 10 minutes away from where the body was found. And judging by what was done to the body, someone reenacted the murder of your sister. And I'm willing to bet that if I go outside right now and take photos of your tires, the tread will match what I have in my lab. Am I right? Damn it! Why? Why did you do it?
I didn't.
Don't lie to me! Do you know what this means? Dawn, you're going to prison for the rest of your life. Do you realize that?
Yes! Yes! I knew that when I decided to do it. The justice system failed, and I fixed their error. End of story!
It doesn't work like that, and you know it. Look, we can figure this out. We have to do something. Oh my God. Oh my God. I told my guy to keep things under wrap until I could check some things out first. That should buy us some time. I gotta figure this out. I gotta fix this. I gotta fix this.
Wait, Chris, what do you mean? You have to fix this.
Dawn, I can't let you go to prison. I love you.
I love you too, Chris. I love you. I love you for trying to bring my sister's killer to justice. I love you for waking me up inside. And I love you for sacrificing everything that you stand for to try to keep me out of prison. Let's not talk about it anymore. Let's just talk about it in the morning, okay? Carmen, I miss you so much. I don't know how things got so crazy, but my temper has gotten me in trouble again. And I'm sitting outside of this police station wondering if I should do the easy thing or the right thing. Sis, I miss you so much. And I love you.
Don't do it, Dawn, please.
We can make it work.
I know what to do. Just trust me.
Chris,
I love you. You just make sure you come visit me sometime, okay?
What happened after you turned yourself in?
after they read me my rights, and I waived my right to an attorney, they took my full confession. When it was all said and done, I was granted one phone call. Turns out that would be the hardest call I'd ever have to make.
Your parents?
Yeah.
How did that conversation go?
I called, my mom answered, and I told her to get Daddy on the phone. And I almost lost my nerve. But once I started talking, it just all kind of came out. And they cried, so did I. Not from guilt, but from what I was putting them through. My mom assured me that they would give me the best attorney that they could find. I told them I didn't want that, but they didn't listen. So the attorney kept trying to come see me, but I refused, so he finally stopped.
What about Detective Jones?
He came to visit me not long after.
How are you holding up in there?
You know me. No problems yet, but I'm sure it'll be as easy once I go to the big house. But you know, I'll only let them try me once.
That's my girl.
How have you been?
I'm okay. Why are you refusing legal counsel?
I don't want my parents wasting money they don't have trying to get me out of here.
I'll pay for it.
Stop.
Why are you making this so difficult?
Chris, I'm sorry that this is so hard for you. I'm accepting the consequences of what I did. Turning myself in was the right thing to do, and you know it. And I'm not sorry for what I did. And if I would have just walked away and let you do what you were planning to do, I would be no different than Styler. I killed a white man. And we both know that even in Detroit, they are not going to let that ride. Your justice system is not built for people who look like me. That's why I did what I had to do. Maybe one day I'll walk out of here, but until then, I just want to get this whole thing over with as soon as possible. I'm sorry.
Fine. If that's what you want, then so be it.
After I went back to my cell, I tried to forget about him. I stayed in that facility for 2 months as I awaited sentencing. Once my case came up before the judge, I was sentenced to 2 consecutive life sentences with no chance of parole for first-degree manslaughter and 1 count of kidnapping.
Do you ever regret turning yourself in?
Every single day. If I would have never gotten involved with Chris, I probably would have just left Michigan and never looked back. But at the end of the day, I broke the law, and I'm paying for it. God is not mocked, Miss Jackson. I know that now. Nevertheless, I'm sitting here 4 years later sharing my story with you. So what do you think? Do you think I'm crazy?
No. I don't think you're crazy. But I still can't condone what you did.
I can respect that.
What happened to Detective Jones?
He still writes me and comes to visit me when he can. We still love each other very much. But I encourage him to move on with his life. He's a good man. And even if we can't be together, I want him to be happy.
Why are you really in those restraints?
Miss Jackson, prison is not a glamorous place by any stretch of your imagination. And given my temperament and the fact that I killed the brother of a high-profile drug dealer, things get a little tough in here for me, if you know what I mean. So I just feel it's best that I be to myself. So I'm not tempted to hurt people who insist on testing my patience. And from what I hear, Nico Styler has a hit out on me. And unfortunately, solitary confinement is the only option for us problem children.
I see. After all this time, do you feel any remorse for what you did?
No. I can't say I do. But I do feel like God is working with me on that. Since I've been in here, I've found a lot of comfort in studying the Bible. And I understand its teachings and its principles, and I embrace them. Maybe one day I'll feel worthy enough to go to God in prayer and ask for forgiveness. But how can I ask for forgiveness for something that I have no remorse for in my heart? Do you think that I'm wrong for that?
I think if you ask for forgiveness and mean it, God will work out the rest. Once you let that pride go, I think you'll notice a change in your life, Miss Langston, and for the better. Your sister is gone, and now so is her killer. And now you have to move on with your life. Hatred is what brought you here. But who knows what might happen if you let it go?
But what if I can't let it go?
Then you're probably gonna die in here. And there'll be worse things for you after that. Thank you for the interview, Miss Langston. I'll be praying for you.
Thank you for listening.
Well, Jackson, I have to admit, you never fail to impress me. I know I've said this twice before, but this has to be some of your best work yet.
Thank you.
Oh, come on now, Jackson. It wasn't that bad, was it? I mean, you learned a lot, didn't you?
Yolanda, you have no idea what it's like to go into that place and sit with those women, reliving their tainted lives. It's emotionally and mentally draining.
But you do it so well, Jackson. That's why you're my star. Look at all these awards. You got a real gift, Vanessa. And what you're doing for these women has never been done before. How many publications out there do you think would have given the average woman the time of day if it wasn't a national case? We are giving these women a chance to be heard and understood. And most importantly, we're giving them closure. Remember that.
Closure. Hello? Detective Jones, please.
Come in. Miss Jackson? Please, have a seat.
Thank you for meeting me on such short notice. May I?
No problem. What can I do for you?
Detective Jones, I had a
Please.
chance to...
You can call me Chris.
Okay. Chris, I had a chance to interview Dawn Langston about her life leading up to her crime. Obviously, you were very close to her during the time of her arrest. I just wanted to ask a couple of questions about your perspective on the matter.
Okay.
As one of the investigating officers on the scene of the Ross Styler murder case and the Carmen Langston case, how did those experiences differ for you? I mean, how did you feel when you saw Ross Styler's dead body after knowing what he had done to Dawn's sister?
Miss Jackson, I don't think I can answer that question on record.
Okay. Off the record?
Off the record, what was done to Carmen Langston was a tragedy, to say the least. She was just a kid with a very bright future ahead of her. I assume you've seen her case file? As for what I think she did to him, I honestly don't think it would be a bad idea to subject murderers to the same types of horror they put their victims through. If you shoot someone and you're convicted, then you should be shot, so on and so forth. But I can't say it's okay for people to take the law in their own hands. Even though I understand what she did and why she did it, I can't condone it. I have to trust in the justice system, or else I wouldn't be able to show up and do my job every day, Miss Jackson.
Were you really going to risk it all to keep her out of prison?
In a heartbeat. I would have done anything to keep her out here. With me.
Thank you, Detective. I appreciate you taking the time to speak with me.
It was very nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you, too.
Take care.
As I left that office, my heart was no longer heavy because I had come to the conclusion that no matter what happened in life, there was always a choice. No matter what I heard on any of these assignments, or what I thought about the outcome of the situations, nothing could change me unless I allowed it to. So, the fear I'd felt in taking on this project was completely unmitigated. I finished my story on Don Langston, and it ran in the very next issue of the Women's Lit magazine. That story stirred up so much controversy that it became the highest-selling issue in the history of the magazine. Needless to say, that made Yolanda very happy. Dawn wrote me some time later to let me know that she had finally found it in her heart to let go of the hatred she felt for Ross Styler. In letting go of that hate, she was finally able to forgive him and herself and find the courage to ask God for forgiveness. She had even begun to write to the Court of Appeals to try to get her sentence reduced. She also informed me that Chris was still in her corner, as were her parents. Her letter ended by thanking me for listening and asking me to keep her lifted up in prayer so that she could find the strength to continue growing in the Lord. Me, on the other hand, I decided after I handed that story in for editing that I was through with being the voice, at least for a little while.
If I'm being honest, loving you the hardest thing to do, so I keep to myself. I feel like I'm falling in and out of consciousness, yeah. Now we starting to talk.